Okay, so this is my first video that I'm doing. I've been told by a lot of people that I need to go ahead and document my journey, and they would even be interested in seeing it. And people have been telling me to do that for a while. I was a little hesitant. I kind of procrastinate on things. I was like, I really don't know if I want to do that. I don't even know if I feel like doing that. But I decided to go ahead and do it because I feel like I can do it more for not only, I guess, for other people, to enlighten other people and give other people knowledge, but also just for myself, just so I can kind of look back and see down the line how I've changed. And I figure I need to go ahead and start doing it now while it's still kind of early, before I really start showing a lot of changes. So my name is Mo, or Morgan. I am transgendered, and this is basically what all this is gonna be about. Yeah. So I guess I'll start off with just some changes that have been going on. I've been on testosterone for, yesterday was marked 5 months, I believe. Yeah, 5 months. And it's been a lot of things that have been going on. I know, started getting facial hair. I don't know if you can really see it from here, but I got like a little stash, and I'm starting to get hair all under here and stuff like that. My voice is dropping. At first, it's still a little too high for me. Like, I feel like it could be deeper, and I know it's gonna get there. It's only been 5 months, but it has been dropping to the point where, like, if I'm on the phone, like, people address me as sir or whatever have you. And I also noticed that whenever I am talking, sometimes when I get carried away in talking and I'm not really thinking about it, I know that my voice is a little higher, or more like in its, I guess, the natural state that it was born in, or the voice that I was, given or whatever. And but if I consciously think about it, then I can go ahead and make it deeper. So I try to consciously think about it so it can be a little bit deeper. But yeah. And then my voice, it'll, like, it's like I'm going through puberty, like actual puberty. And like my voice will crack, it'll squeak just randomly. It's like you can't even control that shit. And I actually Googled it. I looked it up. I was like, because I want to know why I was doing that. And it's actually whenever your larynx is expanding, it's trying to get used to the size, so it kind of squeaks or cracks or does little things like that. I got more acne, or I shouldn't even say more, because I didn't have any acne before. I've always been complimented on how good my skin is, and it's still good. Like, but I get like little pimples here and there, as opposed to why I rarely used to ever get pimples at all. Physically, I've been working out more. Feel like I'm losing weight at a steady pace. I don't know if that's just because of the working out or because of the testosterone, but I know, like, I feel stronger. My definition's coming in. Like, you can just see, like, the muscles that are just starting to come in, and I feel like I would have never got that same definition. Like, even when I was athletic and I was skinny, like, I feel like I was still didn't have like as much definition as I'm getting or about to get. As far as the emotions, I know one of the things that made me hesitant to get on testosterone in the first place, I was really worried that, because I always heard about the rage and the emotions, and you just being angry, and I was like, man, I already got enough anger issues without hormones. I don't need no more. So I was really afraid of that. I didn't want to get into it, and then like me just be like this raging maniac or some shit like that. But thank God it's not like that. I do feel myself, I feel like, as opposed to where I used to jump to the emotion of sadness, now it's more so I'll jump to anger. So I can get agitated or irritated. I can have angry outbursts, but it's nothing that's like, I feel like it's nothing that's unwarranted. Like, it's not like it's just over small things or whatever have you. And it's still like, I feel like anybody would kind of get upset over things I get upset over. So it's not like it's just out of there. But one thing I will say, I used to be a big ass crybaby, like a big, like, especially if you know me, and if you've been with me, especially, you already know I'm a fucking crybaby. Like, I used to cry a lot, and like now I just be feeling like I can't. Like, even when I want to cry, it's like it just don't come out. Like, I can feel the tears, like, on the verge want to come, but they just will not come, and I'm just like, damn. Like, is this what happens? When dudes just don't cry. They just don't feel like crying. I don't know. But that's just how it is for me. I don't be feeling the need to cry. Like, I really don't. And half the stuff, some stuff that I used to give a fuck about is kind of like, okay, like, whatever, or I just don't have the energy to give a fuck about it. I don't know. Maybe that's why they say dudes can be nonchalant. I mean, but there's some emotional dudes too. So don't get me wrong. But yeah, and also another thing that I wasn't expecting was for the dysphoria to get worse. Gender dysphoria, can't really just explain. I guess in a nutshell, it's whenever you have issues with your self-image or your body or whatever have you, and generally transgender people experience it, because you're born in the body that you don't identify with. So as far as like, and I have a lot of dysphoria concerning my chest. I've never liked my chest. It was just always just kind of easy to kind of try and block it out, but now it's like to the point where it's like, oh, like it bothers me. I'm really worried about trying to get money for this surgery, or trying to make sure that this is going to go through. I'm hopefully going to be able to get it next year. But yeah, I constantly worry about, and some days are better than others. Some days I feel not completely comfortable, but it's like a 85% comfortable. Other days I'm at like a 10% comfortable. And when I say comfortable, like, I mean like comfortable going out in public. Like I want to make sure that, especially with me having facial hair, my voice getting deeper, and people addressing me as sir, I want to make sure, for the people who don't know, like it's not showing, it's not visible, because one thing that I am deathly afraid of, I don't want to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and somebody notice or find out and they want to retaliate and be violent or rape me, or all these kind of, and this stuff like really goes on, like, so it's a really scary thing, and I pray like that never has to happen to me. So it makes me nervous sometimes when I'm out, and I'm like, I'm really like, I'm looking at my chest like, is it noticeable, and it's just, it can, yeah, I don't know, it really bothers me, and I try not to stress about it too much, but it can get really stressful, and just, I don't know, just really fearing for my safety. I actually watched, I don't know if anybody is familiar with, well, I'm sure maybe some people will be. There's this movie called Boys Don't Cry. It's a movie about Brandon Teena. He was also transgender, and this was back in the early '90s. He was actually found out, and I don't even think he realized he was transgender, because just the way that they kind of describe it in the documentary, it really seems like he didn't even just kind of fully realize that's what he was in the first place. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Some guys had found out, the guys that he had been hanging out with, and they raped him, and then they killed him. And I'm just like, I pray, and it's like, and I know my mother worries about that too. She might not say it, but as a mother, I'm sure you're gonna worry about, because that was one of the things that she had kind of told me whenever I first came out and told her I was gay, because she was like, I just worry about the world for you and how people are gonna treat you, and I just want you to be treated right, and I don't want you to get hurt. So I know with this, it's kind of like it's magnified. As far as some experiences I've gone through or just experienced during this transition, I really don't just have any ones that just kind of stick out to my mind. I use the men's restroom now. I know that was one thing that I was really, really worried about before I started testosterone, especially at work. But thankfully, I found out that we have the single stalls, the single restrooms. So we had those at work, so I'm able to use those. Because at first I just thought we just had the ones with just the stalls in it, and I was like, because before, when I really wasn't passing as male, like I can't just walk in there, but so, but anyway, that's good. So I do that, and I have used one public restroom at the movies. That actually went smoothly. I was nervous, went in there, didn't make no fucking eye contact, go in the stall, do your business, come on out. And really, dudes don't be paying no attention, no way. That's not, they're not worried about looking at you. I have also noticed, which is kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know the word I'm looking for. But I just kind of, I guess it's convenient that I've noticed that, especially with all this stuff going around, with like sexual assault and Kavanaugh and Bill Cosby, and just the atmosphere, that the climate that we're in right now, with the hot topic of sexual assault and men, you know, respecting women and consent and things of that nature. I notice that when I'm out now, especially at night, like I don't feel as afraid. I feel like I don't have to be. You should always be aware, but I feel like I don't have to be as aware as I had to be when I was, you know, living life as a woman, because you really, I mean, honestly, you really have to, when you're a woman, you have to consciously be aware of your surroundings all the time. You have to make sure, and it's so many things that can happen, especially with sex trafficking and shit going on. Like, it's a lot of stuff. So I feel a little bit more relaxed. I feel like I don't have to look over my shoulder as much. And that's not to say that nothing couldn't happen to me, but I don't feel that kind of fear as much as I used to. Also, I found that men that interact with you differently, of course, they're gonna interact with women and men differently. But it's just kind of like they'll be talking to me. But I was talking to this one guy the other day, and he was talking about the Cowboys and football, and he started going in by all the players and all this stuff, and I'm just like, look, shit, I'm having to play it off like, yeah, I know what the fuck he talking about, but really I don't. And it's like, I love the Cowboys and I get the basis of football, but I'm not just a diehard football fan. So I don't know the players. I don't know all this shit. You talking to me all this shit, and I just don't. I really don't know. And you can just kind of tell the difference. And I also noticed that one thing is, I've noticed myself starting to notice the mannerisms. I just kind of try and study the mannerisms of other men, just see how they move, see how they interact, and try not to stay too long, because that's gonna be a little weird. You know, you got one nigga looking at another. That's just, I don't know, it's a little weird. But I just because for one thing, for me, I know I don't know how to be a man. Even though I've always been masculine, I've always been in that male role, I don't necessarily know how to be a man, and that's because I wasn't raised as one. So, you know, people are gonna treat little boys and little girls differently. They're gonna be harder on little boys, or they're gonna, you know, just different things, or different things that boys just seemingly seem to know, or they're just raised with. I didn't get that, so I'm kind of having to figure it all out on my own. But one thing that a good friend of mine had said, she made a point. She was like, you know, that's the beautiful part of it. She was like, you can become any kind of man that you want to be. Become the man that you want to be. Like, you decide how you want to be. You decide how you want to act. You decide. So that is true. I can kind of build who I see myself being, or who I want to be. And I know, like I said, since I wasn't raised as a man, and I've always been a female, and, you know, people have known me as a female for 27 years, it's like I kind of worried that I'm gonna be carry over a little feminine ways, because, you know, just certain hand gestures, or just certain little things that you never really think about. But it's like, now coming into play, I don't want them to look too feminine, because I really don't want to be mistaken for a gay male. Not that there's anything wrong with gay males at all, obviously. But yeah, and I will say that it feels really good not to be considered as sir, especially when I'm out in public. And it means even more to me whenever I have the people who mean the most to me, whenever they acknowledge me as, you know, he or him, or yeah, just it really means a lot. Because for me, the pronouns, it bothers me when people misgender me. But I try to give people leeway and understanding, because I know I was speaking about this with my coworker, or she pulled me to the side last week, and she was saying, you know, just forgive me if I do slip up and I do say girl, or I do this, because, you know, you have to understand that I'm transitioning with you. So and that makes sense. I try to keep in mind that I'm transitioning along with everybody else in my life. They have to get used to it. They've known me as female Morgan for 27 years, so now they have to understand and get used to me being as a male, and addressing me as such, and feeling comfortable in addressing me as such. I noticed that is one thing. Sometimes I feel a little uncomfortable for people, because I know how that can kind of be an uncomfortable thing for you to have to explain to other people, or for people to maybe be like, hey, I thought you had a sister, or I thought you had a daughter, or I thought you had and it's like, well, no, this person's this and this, and, you know, and you may not feel completely comfortable doing that. And so I feel uncomfortable for other people. I think that's about the only thing that makes me feel uncomfortable, aside from being misgendered and called called a woman or a girl or anything like that. Like that, it just really bothers me. And one thing I do, I notice, and I've noticed this from day one. There are people who from the minute I told them, like, they've never misgendered me. It's always been, you know, he, him, his. Never once. There are people who actively try, and I get when they try, or they profusely apologize whenever oh, I'm sorry, you know, and it's like, you know, I get it, I understand you trying. And then I notice the people who not doing it at all, and that, to me, that kind of hurts the most, when people just, you know, you're not doing it at all. But one thing I'm learning, one thing going through this has just kind of taught me, is like, you really can't be concerned with what other people are going to think and say, because people are going to have their own opinions. They're going to do what they want to do. They're going to say what they want to say. But I can't be concerned with what they got going on. I can only be concerned with me. And yeah, so that's one thing I've learned, because I've always been a sensitive person. So things have always, you know, words have always hurt me and stuff like that. But I'm kind of learning that you just kind of got to let that roll. You got to have tough skin. And thankfully, I haven't just experienced anything harsh yet. I know it will come. I mean, that's just with the territory. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for now in a nutshell. I do want to try and keep these videos up. I want to, one reason I was hesitant to do them, because I'm like, you know, am I going to have enough stuff to talk about, or what do I talk about? Sometimes I don't even feel like talking, but I think I'm in a place now where I do want to talk. I do want to educate everybody. So if anybody has any questions that they want to know, please be respectful in your questions, of course. But I'll be more than happy to answer them or anything like that. And yeah, so yeah.